Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? I'm here with a movie triple threat review. And before that, I want to give a shout out to James Lopez. He asked for a shout out, and I want to make sure I gave him a shout out. He likes my videos, he asked for a shout out, so I gave him one for James Lopez. And I wanted to thank my friend Tony Town for making an awesome thumbnail. And basically, the three movies I'm reviewing are movies I saw tonight. Well, Saturday night. I'll probably upload this tomorrow on Epics. Strange Wilderness, Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation, and Creed. And each one has a story or a history behind the entire franchise I want to talk about. So video might be a little long, so I'm on the webcam. Well, first of all is Strange Wilderness. And Strange Wilderness is one of those movies that had an unusual commercial that stuck with me. Basically, they showed that picture of the shark with the screwed up teeth. I can't remember if it was a nurse shark or not. And it was like, ooh, 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 ooh. They made a laughing sound, and that's what really stuck with me. Showing that during the commercial and stuff. So I definitely wanted to see it. And just like another the movie called Choke, which I ended up seeing on WB on TV. It had an unusual ad campaign, commercial ad, and it was a movie that came and went real quick. And I could never find Strange One. I finally saw it on there. I thought I'd watch it, and I kind of wish I didn't. I mean, my friend Ryan said it was really funny, but back in 2010 when I talked to him, but boy, I mean, this movie's not funny at all. Well, I laughed a little bit. I mean, it starts off with I can't remember the guy's name. I remember him in the 80s, but a guy who hosted like animal shows, and he showed a bunch of bloopers. And those were like 80s bloopers that they showed. I remember they showing on Bloopers and Practical Jokes, a TV show. And the guy was talking about it, and he said that guy was his dad, and he ended up taking over the show when he passed away, called Strange Wilderness. And basically he had a bunch of friends, and they're all stoners, including Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill is shockingly unfunny in this. I mean, he didn't say one thing funny. Most of the jokes don't land. Basically, I mean, it's like a competitor wildlife show with Harry Hamlin, and they're in competition. Basically Joe Don Baker says that they have access to a map thing and find a real Bigfoot, and that was the thing that they thought that would help out their TV show Steve Zahn and his group of stoner buddies. But I mean, there's a few laughs, not very many. I mean, I don't mind stupid humor, but I mean, it has to be funny. This is just like, just stupid with that, just bad humor, not funny at all, except for like a couple laughs. I'm surprised Ernest Borgnine's in there, some at the beginning and some at the end. I was a little surprised about that. He didn't curse, so it would have been funny seeing him curse, but that's all right. No, I was surprised how shockingly bad it was. And there's lots of other clips from old wildlife shows, and there's actually two clips from Faces of Death. I mean, the people who know the documentaries, I've seen when the guy's on fire. That was from the first one. I also see when the guy gets pulled into the water by an alligator and attacked, and they show quick cuts and stuff like that. Those are both from Faces of Death, if you know your shockumentaries. And it ends in like a screwed up blooper. It's really weird how it ends too. I mean, it's a very unusual show. Now I know why it came and went so quickly. On Rotten Tomatoes, it got like a 2%, and like 25% of the audience liked it. But I'd give Strange Wilderness 2.5 out of 10. It was pretty bad. It just wasn't funny for the most part. So I mean, I usually like those kind of movies, but this one just wasn't funny at all. I was really shocked at how bad it was. So there you go for Strange Wilderness. I had a little story about wanting to see it, but I'm glad I did. I'm never watch it again. Now the second one, I'm just going to review these in the order I saw them, was Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Now after I'm done with the review of this movie, I'll tell you about my history with the whole series. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation is awesome. I mean, it starts off with like somewhat of a parody and stuff. Like J.J. Abrams gets involved in this one, producing it. Simon Pegg's in it, so there's some humor in it. But I mean, the plot is really, really complicated. Like they say that they know who damn. Let's see, I'm going to draw on a blank right there. That one, the Syndicate is, and they're after him, and he's trying to prove that they exist, and a whole bunch of other stuff happens. In this one, Alec Baldwin plays a CIA agent who wants to get rid of the organization IMF, and he gets them to end that thing, and then Tom Cruise goes rogue, right? And it's weird because in a lot of scenes, Tom Cruise is like actually human. It's not like a killing machine. It's like maybe he might actually be in real danger in some of these scenes, you know. And there was a fight scene where the guy was much taller, and I'm glad they played on the fact that Tom Cruise is pretty short. My dad used to call him a runt, but I like Tom Cruise. I like most of his movies. I like Cocktail, by the way. I thought Cocktail was awesome. This is a fantastic movie. There's an underwater sequence that's really, it's really pretty impressive. It was pretty tense. I really enjoyed that too. I mean, it's a very entertaining film. I really like this a lot. I mean, a lot. Great action. I give that a full on 10 out of 10. It's a very entertaining film. I saw it on not Netflix, but Epix. And as far as the history of the franchise, now this is the series that's been on. Mission Impossible's been on since I was born, since before I was born. I was born in 1968, and the TV show was from 1966 to 1973. I looked it up on internet, and it starred Peter Graves. It was a very entertaining show, and it was on reruns for a long time. So that's how I got to see a lot of it. And it was in the American lexicon for things about if you choose to accept this mission, or like this message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. That was in the American lexicon far before the big budget movies. A great series. I like the series. My dad was a big fan of it too, and Peter Graves. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for that. Now, when I was in Germany in the 80s and early 90s, they brought back the show. I remember it was on Saturdays. Wrestling, it was Wrestling Challenge was on at 4 o'clock, and it was weird on AFN, the Armed Forces Network. All the wrestling was like a year behind. It was really strange. And then right after that was a new Mission Impossible show, and I remember watching wrestling and watching that show. It was a very entertaining show. Hour long. I give that a 10 out of 10. It brings back some memories. Think about now. But that show didn't last that long. It's from 88 till 1990. I probably missed some episodes. Trying to think. Well, maybe I didn't. I think I might have seen a whole run of the shows. I don't know how many episodes it was, but I liked the show. So, that's all you heard, Mission Impossible. And then in 1996, they decided to make it into a movie series with Tom Cruise starring in it. And Brian De Palma directed it, and this was, I think, the very last movie I went to see at a drive-in. I absolutely hated the first Mission Impossible movie. I thought it was terrible. And it's weird because Brian De Palma directed it, because like all these Mission Impossibles have like a different director directing it. And with that one, Brian De Palma had a real fall from grace. His last really good movie was Carlito's Way, because he directed a whole bunch of really good movies before then, like Dress to Kill, Blowout, Sisters, Phantom of the Paradise, Scarface, Body Double, Wise Guys. I think he did Untouchables. But I don't know what happened after Carlito's Way. His movies have really started to bomb. Even Raising Cain wasn't good either, but that was before Carlito's Way. No, shockingly bad. I didn't like that. I thought it was overly complicated. It wasn't exciting or nothing like that. It had the theme music by Bono, and U2 did a remake of it. Well, I still liked it, but I liked the original theme the best. So that was it for Mission Impossible for a while. And then in 2000, I think, or 2001, John Woo directed Mission Impossible 2. Now, I'm a big fan of John Woo, and that was one of the very first DVDs I got when I got a DVD player. Excuse me. Sorry. And, see, I did a fart in the review. Like I said, I liked the John Woo one. I thought that had a great action in it. A really cool story. I give that probably a 9 out of 10. Now, Mission Impossible 3 I did not see. I know it's on Netflix. I haven't gotten around to seeing it yet. I think there was a Mission Impossible after that, I think. And then Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. So there you have it, my history of the Mission Impossible series. Now on to Creed. And Creed is like a continuation of the Rocky series, kind of, but with a different spin to it. This involves a kid that was the son of Apollo Creed that was Rocky's main opponent in both the first and second Rocky movies. And apparently he died, because he died in the series, and then it starts off with him reform school, and his and Felicia Rashad comes to see him, which is actually not his mom, but I mean Apollo Creed had a child out of wedlock with another woman, and she passed away, and then Apollo Creed's real wife came and adopted him to stay at their big mansion. And he was like maybe 12 or 13 or something like that. And she's played by Felicia Rashad who played Claire Huxtable in the Cosby Show. I haven't seen her acting in a long time, but she's still pretty good. And there's a girl later on in the movie that's his girlfriend, reminds me a little bit of Lisa Bonet, just because of her way she has her hair. I know Bill Cosby, back when he didn't get in all that trouble in the 80s, was pissed off at Lisa Bonet for being in that movie Angel Heart with that steamy sex scene with Mickey Rourke in it, and that was the one that had to get trimmed down to avoid getting an X rating. So I mean, he's the son of Apollo Creed. He wants to keep that quiet, and he wants to go fighting. And he goes to Philadelphia, he looks for Rocky, who owns a restaurant now. And he asks, hey, could you train me? So, and he's like, nah, kid, I don't want to. Eventually, he ends up training him, and it's a great film. It leads up to a big fight. It's really good. I really enjoyed this a lot. And it was kind of ironic that the Apollo Creed's son runs his mouth, and the guy he ends up fighting at the end of the movie is the guy who runs his mouth, too. So that was cool. They both squared off. Yeah, I like this movie too a lot. I give it a 10 out of 10. It was nice seeing Sylvester Stallone come out to praise his Rocky character, which is what really made him a star. He started in a few movies before that, but that's what really helped his career a lot, even though he was in Lords of Flatbush before that. But as far as the Rocky movies are concerned, I know the first movie came out because when we lived out in the house in Cranesville, we didn't have cable. I didn't have cable till we moved here in 1990, and I was in the Army at the time. We just had the antenna because my dad was always saying that the cable companies didn't put cable out in the country. At least they didn't back then. At least that's what he always said. I remember seeing that CBS ran Rocky all the time. I think they did ran Rocky 2 a lot, but they ran Rocky all the time. I finally caught it on CBS. I really enjoyed it. I liked the movie a lot. And then I saw Rocky 2 when on the one summer from after 5th grade, we went to see Uncle Bob and Aunt Kathy in North Carolina a long, long time ago. And on their cable, they had Showtime. I remember seeing Rocky 2 there, which I really liked. Well, the first Rocky is a 10 out of 10. The second Rocky is a 10 out of 10. I saw most of the Rocky. I think I missed the first 20 minutes or something like that. But that was really good. And he, like I said, he was with Apollo Creed at the time. And then the next Rocky was Rocky 3 whenever Mr. T was huge back in the day in the 80s. He was in those bouncer games that they had on NBC. And I think that may have been his first role, I think. I remember seeing that Village Cinema. I was a big fan of that movie. I really liked that a lot. And the weird thing is, it had Rocky did like a wrestling bit at the beginning of the thing, and I didn't notice at the time until I saw it much later that the guy who played Thunder Lips was actually Hulk Hogan, because we didn't know who Hulk Hogan was at the time. And it's weird seeing the movie now. It's like, hey, that's Hulk Hogan. Because I didn't recognize him, because he wasn't a star back then. And he was in the AWA. I know Vern Gagne said it forbid him from doing Rocky 3. Sylvester Stallone wanted him to do it. And Vern Gagne said, hey, if you do this, you're out. And then he ended up doing it. And then he went to WWE, and they helped propel him into a superstar. But Rocky 3 was a very entertaining film. A lot of the critics hated this one. But I liked it. I give that a 10 out of 10. Rocky 4, one when he fought the Russian guy, played by Dolph Lundgren, was like the shortest of the movies. It was like 91 minutes or something like that. And it was done like an MTV type style. Very entertaining film. I liked that one. I know my dad's. We rented that on VHS. That was the only one of the Rocky movies that we rented. And I know my dad's favorite part was when before the fight, they had like James Brown come out and sing "Coming to America." No, "Living in America" at the beginning, and they did the whole song. They did a whole music video on that, so that was pretty cool. And that was a very entertaining film. I give that a 10 out of 10. Now, Rocky V came out when I was in Fort Bragg, North Carolina in 1990. And man, I saw that at the military theater. I liked it. Boy, did it get slammed by so many people. And I heard other soldiers saying it wasn't any good. I liked Rocky V a lot. They had real boxer Tommy Morrison who ended up really screwing up his life. I don't know whatever happened to the guy. I think he contracted HIV, in real life. So he was, I don't know if he's still around anymore, but it was a very entertaining movie. I really liked it. 10 out of 10 out of 10 for Rocky because it did like a different twist on the whole boxing thing. So that was it for Rocky for the longest time. And then in 2006 he did Rocky Balboa, which I have not seen. I wanted to take my nephew to the Dollar Theater to see it, and he's like, nah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it. I know when I was a kid, I liked the Rocky movies, but he wasn't interested, so I ended up not watching it. I still haven't been able to find it anywhere. I maybe should have looked better on Netflix, maybe. But then I saw Creed. I really enjoyed Creed a lot. That was a full 10 out of 10. Well, 9.5, 10 out of 10. Very entertaining film. So there you have it for the reviews of Strange Wilderness, Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation, and Creed. Very entertaining films. They're not horror films this time, or crazy comedies like Sausage Party. But yeah, there you have. I hope you enjoyed this movie review triple threat. Like I said, shout out to James Lopez, who wanted a shout out, and thank you to Tony Town for making me a cool thumbnail. And until next time, everybody, please take care of my Legion.